Given the history between the UK and India, the business relationship pales in comparison to China, for instance. A total of £9 billion were signed on Thursday, compared with some 40 billion when China's President Xi Jinping was in town. Why is that?
This is a very momentous visit, Mr. Narendra Modi, coming to the UK. This is the first prime ministerial visit from an Indian prime minister in 9 years. It was 9 years ago that I, as the founding chair of the UK-India Business Council, chaired the UK-India Investment Summit between the UK and India, with Prime Minister Tony Blair on one side of me and Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh on the other side. And a lot has happened in 9 years. We've had ministerial visits, prime minister visits from here to India. Gordon Brown, David Cameron has gone 3 times. This visit is momentous. And the fact that we have already announced £9 billion worth of deals yesterday in the Guildhall with the Lord Mayor present is very good. And to compare with China, I think these comparisons are always made, particularly when a visit like this was back-to-back. We've had President Xi here just a few weeks ago, and now Prime Minister Modi. But you've got to look at it in the long term. India is a consumer-led market. India's got a growing middle class, and the investments between the two countries are escalating. If you look at what Vodafone is doing in India, if you look at JCB, my own company, Cobra Beer, we started with 1 brewery with Molson Coors, my joint venture partners, in 2011. We now have 3 breweries in just 4 years. We've gone from 1 to 3. And the other way around, Tata's investing in a big way in the UK with Tata Steel. Jaguar Land Rover, the car company they bought in 2008, that is doing so well. They've invested in that company. So it's bilateral. And you've got to keep in mind that Indian companies are the 3rd biggest investors in the UK. They invest more in the UK than the rest of the EU combined. And the UK is the 3rd biggest investor into India. So the potential is huge.
Lord Bilimoria, as you mentioned, you are also the founding chairman of the UK-India Business Council. What are you hearing from British companies regarding the pace of reforms taking place in India? Because 17 months since Modi has been in power, we've seen modest moves, but none of the big bang changes we were all expecting.
You have to, again, keep this in the framework of a democracy with a federal system where you still have states, so 29 states, and on top of that, union territories. Each state has its chief minister, for example, to pass through the goods and services tax, which would bring a uniform GST around the country in India. That alone could increase India's GDP by 2% per year. But that needs agreement of all the states. That needs the agreement of the upper house in India, the Rajya Sabha, which Narendra Modi, although he won an overwhelming majority for the first time in 3 decades in the lower house, he does not hold a majority in the upper house. So to get legislation through in India is not easy for him, particularly within a federal system. But in spite of that, he has increased the insurance limit. I mean, you could invest, foreign investors in insurance 26%, now that's gone up to 49%. Defense, foreign investors were never allowed to invest in the defense industry in India. Now they can invest in the defense industry. So there are reforms that are being made. Of course, we'd like them to happen faster. And again, it's not just the reforms. Narendra Modi has very good initiatives in terms of Make in India to encourage manufacturing to go up from 16% of GDP to 25% of GDP. He has the Digital India, smart cities, 100 million people in India are going to urbanize over the coming years, Clean India. So there are lots of wonderful initiatives, but it's got to be done on an inclusive basis as well, because the last time there was a BJP government, that is his party, when they were in government until 2004, they were called the India Shining government, but they did not have inclusive growth, and so they were voted out. So he's very aware of that.
Lord Bilimoria, 2 weeks ago, Moody's Analytics came out with a report warning the Indian Prime Minister to rein in the fringe elements within his BJP party or risk losing domestic and global credibility, given the debate on tolerance going on in India at this point in time and the massive electoral defeat the BJP witnessed on Sunday in the state of Bihar. Isn't the image India projects important for boosting investment?
Absolutely. Brand India is very, very important. And Bihar, where we at Cobra Beer have a factory in Bihar, a state of over 100 million people, Narendra Modi's BJP lost overwhelmingly. Nitish Kumar has been reinstated as chief minister there. And similarly in Delhi, right under his nose, after becoming prime minister with a majority nationally, Narendra Modi's BJP lost in Delhi, the capital city, the elections of the capital city of India. So it is not easy for him. On the other hand, he's got a very clear vision for India, and yesterday his speech in Parliament was exceptional. It was inspirational. He spoke from a statesman-like position and took a global view, putting India in the global context, addressed issues like terrorism, address culture, creative industries, food, as well as business. And it is these wonderful, strong ties between the UK and India that are so important. And from an investor's point of view, Ernst & Young, EY, have just released a report on investment in India called Ready, Grow, and Ready, Start, Grow. And there they've taken a survey of investors from around the world, and overwhelmingly, investors put India as one of the highest inward investment destinations in the world today.
Lord Bilimoria, thank you very much for joining us here on France 24.